Okay, so before we begin our next project, we are going to be doing a brainstorming activity. I know it might seem like there's a lot of stuff to do, but trust me, it will help you out in the long run, okay? So there's two options for this. So you will either get a printed packet that looks like this, but I also have this exact same copy in Google Classroom that you can fill out using a Google slide if you'd rather do that digitally, okay? So that is totally up to you. Also within Google Classroom, on the social issues brainstorming assignment, there is this handout that says painting with a purpose brainstorm sheet, okay? And there's a bunch of there's a list of some really good things here for you to look at. Use that as a reference. This is located in Google Classroom. I'm not printing these out for you, okay? So what we're going to be talking about are social issues, okay? And I want you to take some time to read through these, but what is a social issue? A social issue is matters that directly or indirectly affect members of a society. They are considered to be problems and are usually related to moral values. Because of this, solutions are often controversial. So when we talk about social issues, often we think about politics. What are different candidates supporting, what they're not supporting? Or maybe these are all of the issues that we probably hear a lot about on social media. We hear our families and parents talk about them. We hear them a lot. And artists address social issues because you can create really powerful imagery and artwork based on those experiences. So we'll look at this a little bit more later on, but first I just want you to do some reflections on what social issues affect you the most, okay? So there are 4 different categories here: self, family, city, country, the world, okay? So some of these things might, you might have multiple answers for some of them, but there might be some social issues that affect your family that don't necessarily affect the entire world. Or maybe you have something that affects you that doesn't affect the city of Omaha or Ralston, okay? So use this as a brainstorming list. You are by no means have to, this is just to be a brainstorming list, okay? So here are some things that you might consider, okay? These are just things that I'm brainstorming to help you kind of talk through this. I'm not going to fill out this entire thing. So for instance, maybe think about those things that what are some of the things that affect you that directly relate to your family? So I don't know, here are some ideas. Maybe you have someone who deals with addiction in your family, and as a result, that really affects you. Okay, maybe it makes for an unsafe living environment, or it's just kind of stressful for that, okay? Maybe think about, okay, maybe let's look at some of the things here. Maybe you have someone or you, so this says same-sex marriage. We could do that as LGBTQ. So maybe you have someone that close to you that it's important for you for LGBTQ rights, and so on, okay? These are some of the things that you can list there, okay? So then here are some things that for city, okay? What are the things that you think could be better for your city? So like maybe it's public transportation, okay? And you shouldn't just be copying mine down. Okay, these are my own thoughts, all right? So kind of brainstorm some of these things. What are things that affect our country that don't just affect that also maybe don't affect the world? So, for the entire world, maybe we have a lot of third world countries. I wanna look at poverty, okay? So basically you're just doing brainstorming. So then at the bottom here where it says, what social issue would you like to focus on for this project? I want you to pick something, okay? What is something that you feel like you want to focus on? So maybe for me, I want to do women's rights, okay? Now, just because you pick it here doesn't mean that you have to do it. So then you'll be ready. You'll fill out more up here, and then you'll be ready for the next page. Okay. So what I want you to do then is you're going to research your topic, okay? So I'm researching women's rights, and I'm going to go on this, and you're going to do a little research. fill this in, okay? For this one, let's see. The web address, you only need to just write the website, okay? Unless you're using the digital version, you can copy and paste. Oops, copy and paste the URL. Okay? So you'll fill that in and then you'll do some brainstorming, okay? So for instance, my middle here would be women's rights. And what are some things that go along with that? Okay, so maybe it's the history of voting. Maybe it's work pay. Maybe it's body positivity. Okay, I could keep going, and keep going. Okay, so this first one is the main bubble. The second one is some ideas that stem off of that. And then in these third ones here, you'll see that I want you to write down picture words, okay? Those are images that come to mind. So you might not necessarily write things down you might draw a little image for that. So in the example I give here, it says in the middle, write your social issue. The example is pollution. The next one could be poor air, littering, oil. So then the next one would be, how do I show those things, okay? So if I'm talking about work pay, obviously I might use money involved in that somehow. Notice I'm not like doing these super detailed right now, and that's okay. All right, so if I'm talking about body positivity, what is it that I wanna focus on, okay? Is it the use of makeup? Here's a little lipstick. I don't know, those are the things that you are gonna have to consider. Okay, then on the last page, it asks you to use a space to create 3 small ideas, thumbnail sketches, to illustrate your problem. So I've kind of settled on the idea, it stemmed with women's rights, but I'm going through body positivity. So here's one of the sketches that I've created. So I would want to do a couple more of them and just fill the page with those ideas there. Okay, this will be the first thing that you do to fill this out. So either do this, you cannot do this page in Google Classroom on the Google Slides. You will need to get a piece of paper and sketch out your ideas here. Okay, so go ahead and complete this and then we'll move on to our next part.